Out Loud is presented by Moneyline and by Hercules Tire. I'm Woody Kane, joining you again for our Auto Club Speedway edition as we get set to head to Southern California. And who better to talk to about that than a California guy himself, the man who finished second at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the driver of the number 21 Ford Mustang for the Wood Brothers, Matt DiBenetto. Matt, congratulations on a strong start to the season, and now you go back to your roots a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That was a good way to start off, Daytona aside, starting off the year at Vegas, first kind of normal race of the year, I guess. And then, cool way to start. Now going back to the home state.
Now, for you, everybody kind of loses track of how big California is when they talk about home state. You're from the area called Grass Valley. How close is that to Auto Club Speedway? And is it, I imagine, very different from that particular area, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Northern California. Grass Valley was probably about an hour away from the Sacramento area and the foothills outside Sacramento. So Auto Club's probably, I think, some of my family usually drives down there. It's about a 7-ish hour drive, so pretty far south.
Yeah.
But I actually had a lot of family that lived down in L.A., so it's still so I still had a lot of family down that way.
Now, you live in North Carolina now, but a lot of folks talk about the difference between NorCal and SoCal, Northern California and Southern California. How would you describe the difference?
Yeah, they're completely different. When people are like, "Oh, you grew up in California, it was crazy busy," I'm like, "Dude, we grew up in a even smaller town than I live in Hickory, North Carolina. Hickory is bigger than where I grew up out there, so it was pretty. It was a nice area up there, really, really quiet. Basically, it was just in the foothills up there, so very, very small town. So that's kind of what I've been accustomed to growing up, and that's why even moving to Hickory, North Carolina, people are like, "Oh, you live in way out there in Hickory." I'm like, "No, you have no idea. Where I grew up is very small."
Well, that being said, how does a kid from Grass Valley get hooked on racing, and how did you make that work? What was around your area that got you interested?
Well, it's an interesting story, but so my dad was actually big into baseball. Nobody in my family was into really racing. My dad liked cars and stuff, but that was about the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was passing through the channels on TV, passed by NASCAR, and I made him watch it. And at that time, I was riding I had a 4-wheeler and a dirt bike, and I was wide freaking open on it every single day, and that was it. So clearly, they were like, "Okay, motorsports is his passion, or he likes to go fast." And then, made him watch NASCAR every single week, him and my mom. And my dad was like, "What the heck do you want to watch that for?" Then it became our thing. We watched it every single Sunday, and then they became fans of it too. So it just became our thing. And a friend that I played baseball with on our little league team, my dad was like at one of the trophy ceremonies, like, "This is my little Jeff Gordon. He likes baseball but loves racing." And one of the kids just so happened to race at Cycleland Speedway, where Kyle Larson and I grew up racing, and they both come out and check it out, and that's how I got started.
Wow, that is a really cool story. You moved from not much interest in the family to baseball and then to racing after that, and now here you are driving for the Wood Brothers. Does something like that kind of make you pinch yourself at times and go, "I can't believe all this has happened"?
Oh, it does. It does all the time, because I grew up just a fan of the Wood Brothers and loved studying the history, of the team and the sport and all their, all the famous drivers and all this stuff. And so I was just straight up, honestly, a fan. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward to today, I couldn't even script the story as crazy as it's been. And I joke all the time and say the only way people would believe the whole story from start to finish and how crazy it's been and how many thousands of things had to line up perfectly, it'd be the right place, right time. Like, the only way that they would believe it is if, hopefully a long time from now, after I have a long career, I would have to write a book.
You should. That'd be an interesting read just based on what we've talked about so far. I think it would be a lot of fun. Matt, you mentioned the two races to start this season. Obviously, Daytona kind of an outlier for the super speedway perspective, but you had to be really encouraged with a strong runner-up finish at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the meat and potatoes, bread and butter, if you will, of the series on the intermediate style 1.5-mile tracks. That was a little bit of an early encouragement for you and the whole team, wasn't it? That's a strong run.
Oh, yeah. So the things that I'd point out is what was most encouraging to me is that it was not a one of those picture-perfect weekends where you go out and the car was close right off the bat and all this. It was one of those weekends where we as a team had to click, mesh really well, and work super, super hard together on the car because we started, and got thrown for a loop, and we were way off on the car and had to work really hard on getting it dialed in. We started the race and still, needed more time. So we had to make big adjustments. Me and Greg Irwin, my crew chief, had to communicate back and forth really well on adjusting big on the car. And a lot of people were loose, as you saw, so we were not the only ones. So we were battling the same thing. And so we made big swings on that, then the right pit calls. And doing all the things to where that's what was the most impressive to me was all of us putting our pit crew through a ton of work and changes and all that stuff. And then throughout the day, making our way forward where it's like, okay, boom, now we're easy top 10 car. And then, all right, now we continue to make the right pit calls and decisions and put ourselves in position at the end. So that is what, to me, makes an extraordinary team. And it just showed me what I already, had confidence in, that this team is so dang good.
Chatting with Matt DiBenetto, the driver of the number 21 Ford Mustang for the Wood Brothers. And Matt, talking about that specific track, granted you drove for a different team a year ago, but how different is the car itself, not necessarily Ford versus Toyota, but this particular package 1 year removed, what you saw most recently at Las Vegas versus a year ago?
Yeah, so last year at LFR, we were, really trying to build that team. And we had strengths and weaknesses, and we were working on them. But we were trying to build the team up. And when we'd go to mile and a half, we fought just kind of some of that raw speed. So it was no secret that our strengths were more in the tracks where we had that off throttle time, the short tracks and the road courses, and we were working on the speed. Now fast forward in this year, it was just so cool to hop in this car. The 21 car with the Wood Brothers, who we know just have really strong race cars, and the Fords are super fast. And it was like, man, once we just got the car handling close and in the ballpark, the speed of the car just automatically has you up in the top 10. I'm not driving it any different. It's just how fast those race cars are and how good they are at making them the best they can be. So it's that was really cool. Them and the Alliance and support the Team Penske gives. It's just cool strapping in such good equipment with really good people around you.
Let's look ahead before we wrap up, Matt, at Auto Club Speedway. Giant 2-mile track, worn-out racing surface. What can we expect there this weekend? Again, comparing it to a year ago and what we've learned about these cars in that time.
Oh, it's funny thinking back to Fontana a year ago because man, none of us do a dang thing going to the track because the rules are so different. We didn't know how you build your cars, if you need more speed or handling or what. So, and it's still kind of a moving target. But yeah, I plan on the plane ride on Thursday to watch the entire race start to finish from last year. But Fontana's fun because it's a little different than like Vegas. The surface is more worn out, so the lap times fall off more. So you're in the gas a lot, and it feels painfully slow on the straightaways with this package, and you're kind of drafting and all that mess. But lap times also fall off, so it's like, where's the fine line of how much speed or handling do you want? And it's cool because the nice thing is we can go in the corner and run opposite lanes. Heck, there's I think 8 different lanes you can choose from there to run the opposite line of the guy in front of you to find clean air in the corner. So that just makes it a fun, good place for racing.
Absolutely going to be fun to watch. I love seeing the guys slip and slide out there and can search around for the different lines. Matt, congratulations on a strong start to the season. 9th in the standings, runner-up finish at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Keep an eye out for that number 21 Wood Brothers Ford Mustang. Continued success. We'll see you this weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
There you go, Matt DiBenetto. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, it'll be time for our Moneyline Financial Crew Chief segment.
Did you know that banks collected over $15 billion in unnecessary bank fees last year? Come on, enough is enough. It's time we took back control of our finances. That's why Moneyline is proud to bring you the Financial Crew Chief and to be a NASCAR sponsor. Look, no one knows more about hard work and pursuing their dreams than NASCAR fans, drivers, and teams. So we want to bring you the kind of banking that the big banks would never build, with features like zero-fee checking and zero-fee investment accounts. And because life is also meant for a join, with MoneyLion, NASCAR fans get even more. We're giving away 1,500 NASCAR tickets to our members this year. Plus, you can get 5% cash back on NASCAR tickets, at track purchases, and all purchases at NASCAR.com. Learn more at MoneyLion.com or download our app. This is America's most powerful financial membership. MoneyLion. Here we roar.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the Tire Tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Back on MRN Out Loud, time now for our MoneyLion Financial Crew Chief segment. It's presented by MoneyLion, the world's most powerful financial membership. MoneyLion, here we roar. This week, we had a chance to catch up with Jimmie Johnson's crew chief, Cliff Daniels. Dylan Welch found him at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to tell us about Auto Club Speedway this weekend.
First of all, just logistically speaking, for getting out of Daytona and getting everything prepared for not only here but all the West Coast races, what kind of challenge did a Monday night race present?
Naturally, it presents a big challenge for all of us in the garage with the prep work that we need to do to get our West Coast cars ready to get sent out. Obviously, the first couple races of the season, there's always, last-minute items that you're checking over or adding or updating on your cars. Fortunately, everyone at Hendrick Motorsports did a great job of getting our cars well prepared ahead of time. So Tuesday for sure was a long day, but once we got the cars loaded to come here to Las Vegas, we felt really good about them. And now, likewise, our shop is doing a great job of getting everything ready for California and Phoenix coming up.
And looking to Fontana, you weren't in the crew chief role there last year. What kind of challenge do you anticipate that presenting, or what are you kind of keeping your eyes out for as we go there next week?
California is such a cool place for us in the 48, just the history of the track, for what it means to Jimmie, the success over the years. So the challenges are being able to weigh what you need for the straight line speed versus the grip in the corners. The track does have fall off, but obviously it's a 2-mile track, and there's a lot of inherent speed you need to have built into your car. So there's a lot that we've been working on, trying to make sure we're prepared, and ultimately once we get on track, we'll find out.
The bumps on the backstretch is something we always talk about there. How do you compensate for that, or can you in any way compensate for those?
There's a few things that you can adjust with your shocks and your ride heights and how you approach your springs and your bump stops. We've done a lot of work over the last few years trying to improve not only the bumps on the back straightaway, which obviously are there that you mentioned, but there's also a lot of bumps in the corners too. So handling over the bumps is definitely a premium. Managing your ride height control is definitely a premium. Again, all of our engineering staff, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, done a great job over the last few years of developing shocks and springs and things correctly to help in those areas. So I think we'll be pretty well prepared.
With it being Jimmie's home track, his last race there, as you mentioned, what are your emotions like, or what does it mean to you to be able to go there and be the guy calling the shots for him his last trip around there?
Definitely excited, and there's going to be a lot of really positive energy around that race for us. He has a lot of his local fans and even family that are going to be there. I know he's got a pretty large guest list, and just to be in the moment and to share that excitement with him for the last race for his full-time season at what you would call his home track. It's going to be really cool. I can't wait to get going, for the weekend. His feedback is always, so cool there. He'll run low, he'll run high, quicker than some guys will, and just move around all over the track. So the way he approaches it's a lot of fun. We're definitely looking forward to it.
With this package of car and racing that we have, what is racing at a 2-mile track like? I mean, it's obviously in the middle of the 1.5 miles and the super speedways that we saw last week. So what are the things that you kind of try to prioritize, on the car when you're racing in a place like that?
Yeah, a place like California is so unique because you have such a high level of fall off, which is great for us because setup comes so much into play. At a place like Michigan, which is a 2-mile oval, it's so smooth and there's so much inherent grip that you're really doing everything you can to maximize straight line speed, trim your car out, shed drag, even at the expense of downforce. California, you kind of have to have the magic mix of downforce and drag, so you have the straight line speed for the long straightaways, and then as the run goes on and the pace falls off, have to make sure you have enough aerodynamic grip and mechanical grip too. So it's really kind of a cool mix of both worlds for us to be able to approach a track like that, and it's going to be fun.
What's the toughest part of the West Coast swing? Just the grind of 3 weeks in a row of back and forth coast to coast.
The grind of 3 weeks is tough back and forth, and one of the most difficult things is obviously we're going to learn a lot in practice today at Las Vegas. So anything that you learn that you want to get applied to those cars moving forward, they're already through the system, and they're basically a day away from being loaded. So it's difficult to adapt quickly if you need to. Sometimes you'll see teams come to the West Coast and have a great West Coast swing, and that can really, kind of leapfrog your season in a positive direction. And teams that come and struggle early, it's hard to get caught up and it's hard to adapt. So with the preparation we've done over the winter, I feel we're going to be pretty well prepared, and the challenge is just to adapt quickly if we need to.
Cliff Daniels from Hendrick Motorsports on our Financial Crew Chief segment this week, brought to you by Moneyline. A timeout, then Kim Coon joins us here on MRN Out Loud.
Next time those engines roar, don't just get pumped up. Get 5% cash back with Moneyline. Our members get 5% cash back on up to $2,000 in annual purchases of tickets to a NASCAR race from authorized ticket sellers. You'll also get 5% off any at-track purchases and all purchases on NASCAR.com. Just use your Moneyline debit card and it couldn't be easier. Join the world's most powerful financial membership, Moneyline. Here we roar.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the Tire Tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Welcome back to MRN Out Loud. We're joined now by Kim Coon, my former co-host on the NASCAR Live pre-race show. I miss you. Let me say that right off the bat.
Too, very much.
It's been a little lonely without you, but I'm glad you're here today. Let's talk a little bit about the season to date. Only 2 races in so far. What has jumped out most at you to start this season?
I think how well Penske drivers and teams have transitioned with all the changes that they made over there, basically playing musical chairs with everything they possibly could. And right out of the bat, I feel like both Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski have all been very good and very strong both weekends that we've been at the track. I expect the same going into this next weekend. And for me, that was the biggest surprise because, again, when you change things, you never know how teams are going to react.
I think people underestimate how important those personal relationships are and how much a team really is a team in a sport. It's almost like football where the coach and the quarterback get all the attention, but all the other guys make it go too.
Absolutely. And then another thing that stands out to me is Hendrick Motorsports. I think this could be a year where we see all 4 of those cars get to victory lane. I don't want to jinx
I don't disagree
them,
with you.
But they've shown speed. I think the new body on the Camaro is working well for them. I know we're only 2 weeks in. I think Auto Club is going to be very telling if it continues to be a trend of them being fast and running up front, or if it's just maybe a fluke for the first 2 races.
I don't know. I think you're probably right. I think they all will have a very good shot at getting to victory lane this year. You mentioned Auto Club. You're going to be out there this weekend on pit road, opening up with practice. Now, give folks an idea, if they haven't listened to our streaming practice coverage, what they can hear on those shows.
They can hear a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun on the practice shows, but we're covering all the teams. We also kind of weave in the storylines of the weekend, whether it's on track or off track stuff. You'll get some fantasy picks. Usually Jeff is very adamant about us getting our picks in for the weekend.
I know you love to do stuff like that.
Right. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of history, especially if Winston Kelly's out there working the garage for one of those practice shows. And then we always try, if we can, to get driver interviews and or crew chief interviews, sometimes even an interview with somebody from Goodyear or somebody from, the engine shop for a team. So we always try to get some different voices outside of MRN to add perspective to the practice shows.
And if nothing else, you'll know where people are running without going refresh
Exactly.
when you're at your desk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll know if something went wrong because that does happen from time to time in practice. I hate to say it, but I've had care center duty during practice, which is usually very unfortunate.
That's kind of a downer, yeah, because you're talking to somebody after something bad has happened.
Yes, that it wasn't even in a race, which I guess that's a better time to have something go wrong than during a race.
Yeah, for sure. You've been out there quite a bit, Southern California in general, because of all the other things you do with motorcycles and NASCAR and IndyCar. What are some of the things that are in that specific area that you would have on your must-see list or must-do list?
Oh, goodness. I actually took a trip earlier in the year with my mom to Santa Monica. So it's not that far from where we are out at the racetrack in Fontana.
Did you need adult supervision or what was going on
It was
there?
a trip. She turned 60 in November.
Okay.
So we took an art trip together to celebrate her 60th birthday. But Santa Monica was so laid back compared to every other part of Southern California. Like Los Angeles and LAX and that whole situation can be a little overwhelming. Santa Monica was laid back and peaceful, and anything there is fun. We went to Venice Beach and walked the beach, watched some of these skateboarders because they've got skateboard parks. So that was kind of a refreshing getaway. So if you have the opportunity, if you're out there for the Auto Club race and you're willing to drive a little bit, it's not too far, just to kind of catch your breath. Santa Monica was wonderful.
A little out of the way from all the hustle and bustle for sure. A lot of folks are familiar with Glass Case of Emotion. It's been a huge hit, you and Ryan Blaney, among others, on the show. What can we expect this season? I hear that you're going to have some new guest hosts along the way.
Yep, we're back this season. I'm actually leaving the studio right after I finish with you to record the first episode, and it'll be a lot of the same. We might see some other faces cycle in the third host position seat, but Ryan will be back. He's out west right now, so I'm not going to give away who might be on the show this week. You'll have to stay tuned. But yes, Glass Case is back, which the fans have been clamoring.
All the glass holes are out there
all the
wearing
glass holes
you out.
are wearing me out. I love it, though.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love all the support, but it's nice to finally be in studio to record it and to put something out there so they can get what they want.
Now, for folks who aren't familiar with it and haven't seen it yet, you should be watching it if you haven't, but it's not you get Ryan on and go, now on lap 182, what happened there? That's not how this goes.
It's actually very much the opposite. We do talk some racing, and if there's something specific that happened on track, whether it was an incident or maybe Ryan's in victory lane, we do talk about that, or situational stuff where it's like, man, we can't ignore this. But it more comes naturally. We're not going to just force a storyline that comes from the racetrack just to talk racing. A lot of it's more about like pop culture, lifestyle, news of the weird, what's happening in our lives.
News of the weird is really cool.
Yes.
Now you got to get into that.
Yes.
I think everybody needs more weird.
Yes. Weird is good.
It certainly is. Now, in addition to that, as we mentioned, you're doing some IndyCar stuff still, I'm assuming. And are you doing the motorcycle stuff again this year? What's your schedule looking like?
Yes, doing the IndyCar Off the Grid show again this year. It might have a little bit different look. That's all I'll say. So you'll have to stay tuned for that.
You're just hinting mightily today.
Yes, lots of hints. Lots of hints. So I'm very excited for that. No flat track motorcycle coverage on the docket right now, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be watching because, oh man, they are so much fun to watch, the flat track riders. Yeah.
I know that when you first started, you said, I haven't done anything like this before, and you came back going, wow.
Yeah, I mean, bar banging, they're some of the toughest motorsports athletes out there, and it's just so fun to watch them. So I still very much keep along with the storylines that are happening in that motorsport.
And I'm starting to wonder if you ever sleep or eat with all that is filling your schedule. But locally in the Charlotte area, you're on WCCB in the mornings. That seemed like it started off a little here, a little there, but now they probably have a room for you there, don't they?
Yeah, it was like a little appetizer, a little snack of me here and there. But when I'm not traveling for NASCAR or anything else, I co-host the 8 o'clock hour, which is a fun kind of topical hour. And then I very much fill in for the newsreader who has to wake up very early and read the news from 4:30 to 9. But that's not like a permanent. That's just like filling in here.
If they fall asleep, or what are we talking about?
That needs to happen. If somebody goes on vacation, or
like, do you bring one of those little tranquilizer darts with you?
Right. I wish. So yeah, not a lot of sleep recently, but it keeps me on my toes. And when I'm not traveling for, MRN or any of the other things I do, it kind of keeps me fresh and it gives me a purpose. Keeps my schedule busy.
Busy is an understatement for sure. Let's circle back now before we wrap up to Auto Club Speedway. A worn out surface there, a lot of speed at that track. It's going to be a little bit of a different animal than what we saw at Las Vegas and certainly Daytona. As we move further into the season, what things are you going to be keeping an eye on over the next few races and specifically this weekend?
I'm really excited about Auto Club. Like you said, it's one of the older race surfaces we go to. It's a 2-mile track, so it's different than both Daytona and Las Vegas. I hope we see some of what we saw in Las Vegas, though, because, man, I was surprised isn't the right word, but just so excited about how good the racing was at Las Vegas. The restarts were crazy. We saw, green lap passing. We saw racing. And so I hope we see some of that this weekend too at Auto Club. And I'm just looking to see if Joe Gibbs is going to position themselves kind of out of a little bit of a hole I feel like they're in based on Vegas. Now, obviously, Denny Hamlin went out and won the Daytona 500, but I think you kind of have to separate Daytona.
It's more than apples and oranges.
It's like we do Daytona, and then it's like then the season starts in terms of getting to really look at a thermometer of how teams are going. And Vegas, there were no Toyotas period, not just Joe Gibbs Toyotas in the top 10, which we haven't seen that in a very, very long time. So just seeing if they kind of rebound. Granted, Truex did have a good Vegas run if he hadn't had that incident, but kind of see how they rebound because Kyle Busch won the Auto Club race last year. Kind of seeing where they shuffle out. And then, man, I want to see some good stuff from Jimmie Johnson this weekend.
I think he's right there knocking on the door.
I think he is. I think he and Cliff are gelling. Not that they weren't gelling before, but they've finally gotten to a rhythm. We saw great speed from them in both the Daytona 500 and then in Las Vegas, a top 5 finish. And then you look at Jimmie, he's a 6-time winner at Auto Club Speedway. And man, if he could
home game,
if he could just have a walk-off at Auto Club, it would be so cool. And I think Shani and the girls are doing the command or something too. So there seems like there's going to be a lot of good synergy there. So I'm very much kind of looking forward to Auto Club to see if what we saw at Vegas in terms of people that were up front and people that have been fast, if that trend for all of those different storylines continues.
Going to be a lot of fun to watch. We got a schedule coming up this weekend on Motor Racing Network at Auto Club Speedway. Friday afternoon, practice starts at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Kim will be on that first practice session. Also Friday, another practice session on the Cup side at 5:30 Eastern. Saturday, Cup Series qualifying. Also Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time, the Xfinity race, the Production Alliance Group 300. Kim will be on pit road for that one. On Sunday, the Auto Club 400, 2:30 Eastern Time. Kim, again, on pit road for that. I'll be hosting the NASCAR Live pre-race show on that Sunday as well. Make sure you're with us for all those. Check MRN.com for complete schedule information. And we want to thank Money Lion and Hercules Tire for joining us on MRN Out Loud as every single week. And we hope to see you right back here next week.